Hello again. Welcome to Michael J. Tufel. My life is based on a true story. This is Doc. Chapter 2. We talked about, do I drink too much? Question mark. What I want to talk about in chapter 2 is, what is addiction and how do I identify it in myself, or like that obsessive compulsive licking in myself or others. What I would say about addiction is that it's very insidious. I consider myself to be highly educated and well actualized. And again, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars of other people's money, invested, I should say, in the mental health care industry. I don't have any qualifications, letters after my name in mental health, but I should. I paid for it. Well, someone's paid for it anyway. Addiction, even to someone, who's as worldly as I think of myself to be, it's something that is beyond, even my limited powers. And that's another problem, I think, that, A-type personalities like me, self-aggrandized, narcissists, think a lot of themselves, is that it certainly couldn't be something that I'm subjected to. I'm not an alcoholic, because I think shockingly, I think in certain social circles there still is some stigmatism attached to the word and the disease, which is miraculous to me. It kills more Americans than indirectly or directly than, any other lethal disease, cancer or heart disease. But this is something that we've been dealing with, from an adolescent perspective as a culture, I think, for decades. And again, this thing that happened on the weekend with my friend who needlessly drank himself to death, I feel obliged to do something. And why aren't we talking about this as we talk about obesity or diabetes or heart disease or cancer or autism in children? Why aren't we talking about alcoholism and its social costs? I'm bewildered. Again, my own personal experiences with it, I've almost died successfully trying to kill myself drinking to death, which was very ironic because I've tried twice before unsuccessfully, but then when I wasn't trying at all, the alcohol was just doing it for me, which was shocking that I even let that happen. That's another thing that it empowers, is this intense sense of denial, and it empowers, if you're like me and you have some trauma in your background, and dissociation is very familiar ground, meaning whatever's happening to my body, for example, isn't necessarily happening to me. It doesn't affect me because I'm able to make that psychic break. So in that environment, whether I'm predisposed to being an alcoholic or not, in that environment, I think, my dependence upon alcohol, the territory was ripe for the picking, if you will. So how did I become, following exactly in the footsteps of my father, who drank himself to death at 50, who ironically is famous for saying, "Why live to be 100 when you can do it all in 50?" And then, he fulfilled that, which is beyond. This is why the title of the blog is "My Life is Based on a True Story." There is some writing when I first moved to Prague this last time, somewhere, called "My Life is Based on a True Story." But anyway, I was talking about being predisposed, alcoholism, addiction, following exactly in my father's footsteps of falling down drunk. You know, people talk about blackouts, like, oh, I used to have blackouts. I would think, well, I don't know how to not drink into a blackout, where the line for that, for me, the off switch, if you will, crossed very early in my drinking career of 20 years. So, you know, that's when you're unable to monitor yourself in terms of, was that one too much? Have I had enough? Why do I want to have another one? I think there's a lot of thought process around self-awareness, thought awareness in terms of treating alcoholism or addiction type character traits. Being mindful of your thought patterns. Why do I want to drink? No, why? Why do I need to get high right now? Why do I really, really want a pint of Ben and Jerry's right now, which I actually do? What will that make me feel? How will that make me feel better? And why do I need to feel better than the state that I'm currently in? Obviously, I've read way too much Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, however you want to pronounce it, in terms of living in the now. And again, this thing that happened on the weekend with my friend has made me realize that there is no other time than now for me to, again, try to be more public, try to be more, you know, obviously I didn't get to this place with my experience with this disease and live through it for no reason. I don't know what the reason is. Perhaps this is a venue for me to find the reason. Maybe what's the expression? The quest for life is not the quest for your purpose in life isn't necessarily finding your purpose in life. It's the quest itself. It's not a destination, it's a journey. But back again to Eckhart Tolle and the living in the now and being mindful of your thought process and how that, you know, ties into addictive thinking. The idea is when you take a deep breath in and let it out, what is lying in your stomach at the bottom of that breath? Look at that, you know, think about what that knot is and what that knot might be about. Give yourself, again, the whole 90 seconds of 3 measured breaths, which they say is going to extend our lives by a year every time we do it. And think about it before you pick up whatever it is that you think you need, whether it's sugar or caffeine or, you know, we're all addicted to something. This is America, after all. Show me a sober person. Show me one. In terms of salt, fat, caffeine, you know, I'm by no means in any way admonishing anyone for anyone's lifestyle choices or patterns or habits or whatever, but the point of me doing this is if you are in trouble, you need to do something other than more of what you're doing. So, on chapter 2, let's wrap this one up with, if you think you drink too much, you probably do. Then the next question I would ask you is, what are you going to do about it? So let's talk about what you might be able to do about that in chapter 3. I'll see you in a minute.